This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Always good to be joined with Stephen Smith on a nice Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, how was the bank holiday weekend for you?
Good, mate. Nice, quiet. Know what I mean? But it's all preferring these days. I'm getting old.
Absolutely, for sure. Surely, I guess you're from Liverpool, so weren't too impressive that with the Oasis announcement. It's just gone.
I like them, mate. I like Oasis, so I was the same as everyone else. I wasn't as probably as enthusiastic as others, but I'm an Oasis fan as well, so I was excited about it myself.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah, probably one of the only few people from Liverpool that could be, mate. So,
Yeah, listen,
yeah,
there's a lot to get carried away with things, but you know what? I when I was a kid, I used to listen to them and stuff, so I think it's exciting for people.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, obviously, aside from music, the boxing is very, very busy for yourself. You've just come back from Portugal, obviously, with Charlie Edwards. But yeah, other than that, obviously, apart from Charlie, but obviously got Steve and Liv as well. Yeah, enjoying how things are going now with, I guess, a semi-busy stable.
Yeah, do you know what? It's growing. Again, listen, I'm in my first year as a coach, so I know I've got to sort of walk properly before you can run, as the old saying goes. And I'm confident in my own abilities as a coach, and I believe I'll grow to be one of the best coaches. I think I've got every confidence in that aspect. But you're only as good as the fighters you work with. So I've started off with a good group of fighters, and they're keeping me busy enough at the minute. I've got Charlie Edwards fighting the 27th of September, the European title fight. So that's me first and foremost, my priority at the minute. And getting Charlie ready for that one, and he's looking really good for it. And then a week later, I've got Liv Hussey fighting out in Malta. 2 weeks after that, I've got Jay Kenty fighting in London, and then the week later, I've got Steve Clark on the big Manchester bill. So busy times, all in the gym, and everyone's looking good at the minute. I'm really happy.
You mentioned there about it being your first year as a coach, and out of interest, as a fighter, you've had a lot of times during camps where there's been trial and error, and throughout your career, you've had a lot of trial and error. Do you feel like you've brought that process over as a coach, understanding that you are sort of still new to the game, and there are times where it can go wrong and it can go right?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, the old adage in boxing is you never stop learning. And the day a fighter thinks he's made it, he may as well hang the gloves up, because you never stop learning in boxing. And I do believe it's the same in coaching. It might even be more so, because there's so many different fights, there's so many different angles to win a fight and to get your fighter ready. So I do think that is the same in terms of never stop learning, always keep improving like that. And you've got to basically learn to adapt to your fighters as well, because you can't just train all your fighters the same. You can't do the same sessions and hope that it works. I see now, and baby, I watch coaching a lot more now. I watch padmen a lot more now, and I see things they're doing, and I basically like have an opinion on it now, because I'm a coach now, and that's the way I go about it. But I see a lot of coaches now, and I'm watching it a lot more, and I'm seeing them just fitness mad and just drilling the fighters and running the fighters into the ground, and they just fitness sessions, fitness sessions, fitness sessions, and that's not how you become a better fighter. You know what I mean? You've got to do I think the old, the teaching methods of coaching is dying in boxing. I think
100%.
on the bandwagon of all these S&C coaches, and I think Manny Pacquiao sort of started the thing where he had an S&C coach, he had a boxing coach, and then he's one of like the first ones who done it, and everyone jumped on board. And now you've got loads of it in the game where too many concentrate on like the fitness aspects and stuff. If you learn and you improve as a fighter, anyone can get fit. It's more about working on your game. And I do think the experience of boxing, and the fights and the level of being out of stuff has helped me in that aspect, and experience of knowing when I've overdone it and I've left it in the gym as well. I've done that in the past. So that happened to a fighter, and I do think nowadays, but as I say, I'm more critical of coaching, because I'm a coach, and I do think the methodology behind people, I do look at that a lot more now, and I think it's going to help me learn. I've just got to keep improving and become a better coach, so I can give my fighters everything they deserve.
And for yourself, obviously, as a fighter, you had a long career, and I understand, as you mentioned there, every fighter is different, and as a fighter yourself, you'd have been different to Charlie, Steve, and Liv. But is there still parts of methods that you use from what you was sort of learning in training that you sort of had transferred over as a coach to your fighters?
Yeah, 100%. I think if I didn't learn from things that went right and wrong in my own career, then it's pointless me having that experience. Do you know what I mean? And I do think my experience helps me massively in terms of my value as a coach. And some of the things, again, like I said, then there's some things that went wrong, I've massively learned from. I said along, like as a fighter, I only lost 4 fights to 4 world champions, 4 class acts, so I've got no shame in any loss. But I've always said from day one, you know, that version of me, what turns up against Lee Selby, I was massively burnt out. I was overtrained. I trained for 18 weeks non-stop, training 3 times a day at times, and just young and keen, and basically learn from it. But that you can't go about that way. You've got to rest. You've got to recover. And I was burnt out for that fight, and I was overtrained, and I knew it on the night. But you know, everything's easy in hindsight. You know what I mean? So again, listen, like Lee won well, and Lee beat what was in front of him, and you know he went on as an unbelievable career. He was a world champion himself. Again, there's no shame in anyone losing to Lee Selby. He's a top fighter, but I just always said that wasn't me on that night, and it always annoyed me a bit. So if I didn't learn from that, and I was to go and do the same with my fighters and run them into the ground and burn them out and let them get in the ring and lose because of it, then I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't let that happen. I'd make sure that I've learned from the good and bad things in my career, use my experience wisely, and if I can pass it on to my fighters, then you know they've got every chance.
Definitely. We'll touch on one of your fighters. It's literally a month away now. It's obviously the 27th of August, and 27th of September, Charlie Edwards takes on Thomas Essomba for the European title. A big fight at York Hall from a month's time. You was just recently in Portugal with Charlie. How are things shaping up for this one in a month's time?
Good, you know, really good. He's in a good place. He's in really good shape, and he's got the bit between his teeth for this fight. You know, obviously everyone knows the background with, you know, his brother's son. He's Thomas Essomba's manager, and that brings a different angle to a fight, which I get it. I can get the interest shown in the fight down to that reason. You know, it's a strange scenario, and having brothers that have fought, I couldn't imagine managing a fighter against me brother being in the opposite corner. So it's a weird setup, and I get it. And as I say, listen, I've looked at it a bit from Sonny's point as well, and thought, you know, how will he feel on the night? It's a bit of a strange one for him. He's never done this before, so it is all new, and it does get people talking. But you know, I've just got to focus on Charlie and making sure he's in the best place to to go and win that title. And I can honestly say he's looking really good in the gym, and again, he's just got a really good mindset on him, where he's out to go and basically prove a point on this night, and you know, show everyone that, you know, he's a former world champion. He's got everything in him to go and do that again, and go and better his career again.
I was going to say that, just you brought up yourself about the fight having that personal element to it. Obviously, Thomas being managed by Sonny. Whilst you're getting Charlie ready for it, you know, it's been clear that they've been having a back and forth. Like, I've done an interview with Charlie, and he was sort of he had his own things to say, and as did he in other interviews. How much of that aspect do you bring into camp, where you know there is that personal aspect where Charlie's gonna want it more, because I guess it's almost like a family feud, really.
Yeah, but that's just another angle from the coaching element. You've got to basically know that you're going to have fights where the fighter's emotionally attached. You're going to have fights where possibly the fighter's not up for it enough, where they think it's an easy night, and you've got to say to them, hey, listen, you know, he or she's here to win it, you know what I mean? You've got to basically get your fighter up for it. And there's going to be times when, like this one, when, as I say, there's a lot of emotions invested. So you've got to make sure that, like, they're not overly invested in it. And, you know, I've got to say, look, stay switched on, keep a cool head on your shoulders, and, you know, basically make sure that he's cool, calm, and collected, and does what the game plan is, do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, when we go into there, Thomas has got his own strengths and his own attributes, and we've got to watch him and know that he could bring something different. He could turn up on the night and, you know, be at his absolute best. I've just got to make sure, and I'm confident that the best of Charlie Edwards beats the best of Thomas Essomba anyway. So if I make sure he's prepared accordingly, which he definitely is, then I think it's a good night for Charlie.
And not looking past 27th of September, but especially in the division, there's a lot of great talent, especially at the world level. From what you see in the gym, do you fully believe that Charlie can mix it, given time, with the top level at bantamweight?
Yeah, 100%. I think all 4 world titles in Japan now at the minute, the way it's worked and the way it's happened. So it looks like it might be a case of having to go over there and rip one of the titles from the champion. But again, I think he's more than capable of doing it. I think Nakatani's probably the best. He's head and shoulders above the rest, in my opinion. He's a very good fighter. He's a 3-weight world champion, and I do think he's a class act. But I think the other three, I don't really see a standout. I think, good fighters. I wouldn't disrespect the world champion and saying they're not, but good fighters, but all very beatable. Do you know what I mean? And it's one where, again, he's got to win this European title. I think he gets to defend it then we go and plan out assault on the world title. But things are gonna map up nicely for Charlie, and his hard work will pay off.
And for someone like Charlie as well, as we mentioned earlier about sort of fighters having trust in you and you work with fighters, does it show a credit, I guess, to your coaching where Charlie's been around all different trainers, and he's worked with all different types of trainers, whatever worked for him. But I guess him choosing you, and he's sort of been open about having this journey with you. You obviously starting out your coaching journey to get to that world level and the name you speak of. So a credit to yourself from the work that you do with Charlie that you're able to show it.
100%, yeah. And listen, the fact that he entrusted me so early on in my coaching career shows A, the faith he's got in me, but B, as you said, it's a massive compliment for me. The fact that I'm getting quite highly spoke of so early in my coaching career, and I've heard a lot of fighters and coaches speaking so well about me. So that is definitely a compliment, and it's one that I take on board, and I'm massively grateful for. But I'm definitely grateful for the faith Charlie's shown in me, and I'll make sure that basically it's not a regret for him. It's something that he knows was the right decision, and I think I'm proving myself already where I know how well we're working, and how well he's looking, and I think Charlie's happy, and as they say, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and I think you're going to see a really clinical performance from him down to that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you mentioned there about Charlie having the bit between his teeth. Another guy who's definitely going to have a bit between this time, sort of next month, is obviously your brother Liam. He takes on Josh Kelly in about 4 weeks' time in a real big fight for Liam, especially at this point in his career. I guess being around him, being close to him, how exciting is it, and what can we expect on the 21st against Josh Kelly?
Listen, it's a weird sort of position to be in for him, because basically he's had an unbelievable career, and people have seen some of the fights he's been in and been involved in, the performances he's given. And we're talking about people like Munguia and Canelo, who's been in the opposite corner with him. So he's been at a very good level, and always showing up, always performed and stuff. And to be going into this one now on the back of the worst performance of his life against Eubank, which everyone could see it wasn't him in there. You know what I mean? He was on the back of injuries and basically playing catch up, trying to make a date and make a weight and stuff. And it just wasn't him on the night, and everyone could see it. It's not making excuses. He lost the fight, but we still stick by what he done in the first fight. He wiped the floor with him in the first fight. So everyone knows what the best Liam Smith can do. It was just sort of, he's going into this fight on the back of his worst performance. So he's got a lot of people writing him off, and it's probably a different, listen, he was written off against Canelo, but everyone is, no one's expected to go in and beat Canelo. And a lot of people wouldn't have picked him against Munguia again, a top champion. So there's no shame in that. But all of a sudden, he's got Josh Kelly, who's never been at world level, who stepped up once and got blitzed. You know what I mean? So then to all of a sudden be throwing about that, he's going to get wiped the floor. But it's got got him sitting going, okay. So now he's sort of got this attitude on his shoulders now, where Liam's I'll prove people wrong here, and he's going to now turn up knowing that there's a lot of people that think he can't beat Josh Kelly, and the level Liam's been at's a lot higher than what Josh Kelly's been at. So that's probably a disrespectful thing for him in his own mindset. So having that point to prove, it just makes it all that easier going in the gym and doing the things you've got to do. Because again, when I touched on earlier on, I said sometimes you can have fights that aren't up for the fight as much as they should be. Liam's up for this one now, and with that point to prove, it just gives him a little bit more to go out there and show. So it's an exciting platform to have to go and do it as well, because it's one of the best shows there's ever been in this country, surely. Do you know what I mean? I think it's an amazing bill, and I think people are definitely going to get value for money in the fights that are on it, because every fight could probably top its own show. Do you know what I mean? So going into this one with a point to prove, I think we got a vintage Liam Smith performance, and I think he can go and show everyone who's doubting him that they're massively wrong.
That's an interesting thing you say that, because I spoke to Joe McNally about a month ago at Joyce Chisora, and we spoke about the fight in an interview, and he said, a lot of this fight is based off of proving people wrong, essentially.
Yeah.
Liam's been at the world level for a long time. And he sort of vented his frustration of people writing Liam off because of what he's done in his whole career. Would you sort of agree with that statement
Yeah.
where 2 fights ago he beat he knocked out Chris Eubank Jr. that no one's ever
Yeah.
been able to do. So how
Yeah.
does one fight change that? Do you know what I mean? Do you agree with that
Yeah, no, I
sentiment?
get that. I get it 100%. But boxing, again, this is where experience comes into play. Boxing being the most fickle sport in the world, you've got to understand that. Basically, you can be brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. You have one bad night and people just write you off and say you're crap. You don't go from good to okay in boxing. You're either good or you're crap. And it's like there's no middle ground. The sport's so fickle. So Liam was awful in his last fight. No, make no bones about it. He knows that. We know that. It was a hard watch. It just wasn't Liam in there. We were watching him just going through the motions and sort of like basically having no gears and not doing nothing. And it was so hard to see because it was so stereotypically the opposite end of the scale for what you get from Liam. Liam's an exciting fighter. He's great to watch. His combination punching, his variety is unbelievable. He's got probably, up there with the best variety in his punches, shot selection. He's really, really good on the front foot. And to see him just sort of circling the ring in his last fight and just sort of one pace and stuff was just not him. It was so hard to watch. And you will get the majority of people who'll judge him on that and say, "Oh yeah, he's finished, he's done." Fair enough, they've got to back them statements going into this fight. Then and then after the fight, hold their hands up and say, "You know what, I was wrong. He is still got it and he is good." Or you might get you'll get a certain select, for you in boxing who look at it and go, "That wasn't Liam Smith. Like I don't expect to see that again." If we do, then yeah, okay, fair enough. If someone comes up and performs like that again, Liam will be the first to say he's not there, but. Going off how he's performing and how he's training, how he's feeling, he's very confident in this fight for a reason. And, I think if the same people look at Liam's last performance, they can also look at Josh and think, well, when he stepped up before, so when he put pressure on him, he crumbled. And, I like Josh Repairs, and I think, he's a good fighter, but can he do it at world level? We haven't seen it, and the way he folds against Avanesian, it wasn't like it didn't sort of paint him in glory that you think, yeah, he's got it in him to bite down on his gum shield and fight hard when he clearly didn't do it. Do you know what I mean? And for whatever reason you try and give, when quitting a fighter, it's in them. And we've seen it with Josh, where I don't think he painted himself in glory that night. And I think he's got to sort of prove a point himself. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great fight on a great bill. And, I say we're confident enough from our side. It's just about getting there on the night now and enjoying it.
Absolutely. Last couple from myself. We've obviously spoke about the Eubank first fight and the Eubank second fight there. Liam's been pretty open, and I think everyone sort of on Liam's team is really open about wanting that Eubank trilogy. Liam said in an interview with Sky Sports, he said, if you offer me the Eubank trilogy, I'll pull out of the Josh Kelly fight tomorrow. So there's clear intent for him. Realistically, like, do you think that there is potential that the Eubank trilogy can happen and a result in the first fight how it went in a trilogy?
Honestly, mate, and on Hart, I don't think Eubank takes that fight again. I think he knew what he faced in that fight. I think he knew that way at Liam, and he knew basically, look, I've got to wait one there, and I think he'll run with what he got. I think he'll just take that win and move on. Liam, obviously, it's personal. Liam, like, he can't sleep with that, like knowing that performance, and like he said more bluntly, it hurt him at Eubank. Eubank's got to stop chewing over. So when he couldn't put never hurt him. So he's like, it didn't feel like somebody who was in where he thought, wow, like, when you're in with like the likes of a Canelo and stuff, and you think, yeah, well, fair enough, he's Canelo, he's a pound for pound star. I think it sits right with Liam in that way. So Liam would give anything, as you say, he'd pull out this fight to go into that one. He'd give anything to fight Eubank. That right? Would Eubank do the same? I don't think so. I don't think you'll see him taking that fight again, unless he runs out of options, because there was talk he had the Canelo fight and it obviously hasn't. So who does he fight next? I see he's announced a fight with a Polish fella or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been in boxing all my life. I've never heard of him. So
yeah,
I don't think he can have too many more of them, because people are just going to keep laughing at him. So maybe if he's got no other options, then maybe he might go, well, you know what, I can have the trilogy with Liam. Maybe he might want a trilogy because he hasn't. No, it's not something he's done before, is it? So it might be something that he wants to to do. I don't know, but I just can't see it myself. But again, personally, as Liam's brother, I'd like to see it again, obviously, because I think Liam deserves the chance to put that right. You know, especially if he goes and does a good job on Josh Kelly, then he's back in a good position. It'd be a good fight, be a good build-up, 1-1 going into it. So why not?
Definitely. And final one from myself. From Liam to Callum, I did have to ask you about, I guess, the future of himself. If you can sort of offer what potentially could be next for him. Obviously, I know he's just got married, but is there any
Yeah.
sort of idea on what the future could be for Callum?
We would have had a better idea if the fight was a winner egg. They were meant to fight on June the 1st, the same day Callum got married. So we were
Who's that?
open to watch it. Bethby Evan Bivol. They were
Oh
fighting on
yeah, of
June the
course.
1st.
Okay,
Callum
yeah.
got married June the 1st. And if that would have went ahead, we would have had a better idea of how the division was looking. And you know, Callum wants to be a 2-weight world champion, and he's made no secret of that. So if it's a case of coming back and having a route towards a world title, then you'll get him back. At the minute, with the division all tied up and the belts all tied up, and him sort of sitting in a queue, I don't think he's got the appeal for that. I think he's basically dependent on this fight happening. So October 12th, isn't it? Once they fight, we get a better idea of how the division's looking. Then I think, you'll see Callum back. I think he still has got the desire to be world champion. He's back training again, and he's got more than enough potential to go and do that as well. I do think he's showing how good he can be. So hopefully that fight happens, and with a bit of luck, the belts become vacant, or something happens where it frees up the division a little bit. And I think you'll see him back again. If that's not the case, then I think he's done more than enough in boxing to be happy. So it's a choice he's got to make.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Well, Stephen, just want to say thank you for taking time to speak to you. Really, really good to catch up. And yeah, all the best for, I guess, a busy couple months coming up for you, mate. I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
No problem, mate. Looking forward to it.
Cheers.